Good afternoon. Welcome to the World Series of Fighting conference call. If you would like to ask a question during the Q&A session, you can do so by pressing star 1 on your telephone keypad. I will now turn the call over to Mike Aframowitz.
Hi, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the media teleconference for next Saturday's World Series of Fighting 22, Palhares versus Shields event, which takes place at Hollywood Resort and Casino in Las Vegas and will be aired live on NBC Sports Network beginning at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. I want to thank everyone, the press, as well as the fighters and the WSOF executives for taking the time to join us today. We're really excited about this, another World Championship doubleheader to deliver to the fans around the world. Next Saturday's event, as many of you know, will be headlined by the long-awaited showdown between our reigning world welterweight champion, Usimar Palhares, and two-time world champion Jake Shields. Both Usimar and Jake are on the line with us today to answer questions from the media. In the co-main event, reigning World Series of Fighting bantamweight champion Marlon Moraes will defend his title against undefeated challenger Shaman Moraes. Both Marlon and Shaman are on with us as well today. We also have on the line with us today a pair of light heavyweight stars, Thiago Silva and Mike Kyle, who will face off in one of the three other main card bouts on the live NBC Sports Network telecast. Finally, I want to introduce the last, but certainly not least, World Series of Fighting president and six-time world champion Ray Sefo, as well as World Series of Fighting senior executive vice president and matchmaker Ali Abdelaziz. They're both with us today to take calls from the media as well. Before we begin the Q&A session, I want to let everyone know that we'll be hosting a final press conference for the event next Thursday, July 30th at 2 p.m. Pacific at the Access at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. If you're unable to attend, we'll have video from the press conference available online shortly after its conclusion. The following day, Friday, July 31st, beginning at 4 p.m. Pacific, the fighters will step on the scale for weigh-ins, and the weigh-ins will stream live on an embeddable video player on WSOF.com. On Saturday, doors at the Access at Planet Hollywood open at 4 p.m. Pacific, and the first of 5 scheduled prelim bouts will begin at 5 p.m. The entire prelim card will stream also on WSOF.com on an embeddable video player. The live telecast of the 5-bout main card will begin at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and to kick it off, Jimmy Spikuza and Islam Mamedov will fight in a lightweight contest. Tickets for the event are still available and can be purchased either at Ticketmaster.com or WSOF.com. So I don't want to delay anything further. Let's open the call up to questions from the media. Once again, we have on us defending World Series of Fighting welterweight champion Usimar Palhares and his translator Alex Davis, welterweight championship challenger Jake Shields, bantamweight champion Marlon Moraes, bantamweight championship challenger Shaman Moraes, light heavyweight opponents Thiago Silva and Mike Kyle, and World Series of Fighting executives Ray Sefo and Ali Abdelaziz. Operator, can you open the lineup?
As a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. And our first question comes from Ryan Miller with BJPenn.com. You may ask your question.
Thank you. Hi, it's Ryan from BJPenn.com. First question is for Jake. Jake, you said in an interview that there was added motivation for you during this, leading up to this fight. You mentioned Palhares. I believe you said he was a dirty leg lock fighter, and you said that helped you train, gave you a little bit, got you a little excited for this one. Can you kind of elaborate on that? And then, was that really something that kind of pushed you for this fight? Is there something you're looking to do, like go in and make a statement against him?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what I said, but yeah, Palhares is a guy I don't really care for, so it makes it easier. He's a dirty guy that likes hurting people. He doesn't let go, and he plays this I'm a nice guy after he breaks someone's leg and doesn't let go. I think he's just a bad person, so it's make it fun to go out there and punch him.
All right, thanks. And then if I could just maybe direct it towards Palhares and just kind of get a reply. How does he feel, when he has opponents or maybe other fighters in MMA calling him out, calling him a dirty fighter? Does that affect him at all?
O Toquinho, estou te perguntando se te afeta quando as pessoas dizem que você é lutador sujo e tal, que você machuca as pessoas.
Pô, antigamente me afetava, pra trás, hoje não me afeta mais não, entendeu? Porque assim, hoje todo mundo treina jiu-jitsu, então eu entendo que as posições têm que ser muito fortes, porque se não for, os caras não vão bater e a posição não vai funcionar, entendeu? Então, assim, quando o cara é muito casca grossa, enquanto ele não machuca, ele não bate, entendeu?
Uhum.
Eu entendo isso, porque eu também sou assim.
It doesn't really bug Rosemar. Everybody is very good at jiu-jitsu, and he knows that he has to have tight positions to be able to submit great fighters, so, it doesn't really bug him at all. It used to, but it doesn't bug him anymore.
All right, thank you.
The next question comes from the line of Steve Duan with MMAmania.com.
Thank you, operator. My first question would be to the president, Ray Sefo. Has an opponent been announced yet for Andreas Spang on the preliminary card?
Well, actually, Andreas Spang just pulled out. He got injured, and unfortunately, because we wanted him on this card, but we have a new fighter that'll be fighting his opponent.
All right, that sounds good. And how are ticket sales for the event so far?
Really good. Things are moving forward, and obviously, a lot of the fans don't really give their tickets until towards, the week of the fight or a week out. So far, so good.
That's good to hear. And my next question would be for the bantamweight champion, Marlon Moraes. I want to know how he's feeling going into his second title defense here in World Series Fighting.
I feel great, training was hard, and I feel like I'm facing a great opponent. And I'm going out there to perform, show everybody how hard we work and keep this belt right here.
Sounds good. And question for his opponent, Shayman Moraes. He's coming in undefeated, so how does he feel the fight will go when he challenges Marlon for the belt?
Eu tô muito feliz por essa oportunidade. Admiro bastante o trabalho dele. Ele é um excelente lutador, já acompanho ele há muito tempo, mas eu vou estar preparado aí para dar o meu melhor dentro do octógono e trazer essa vitória aí pra gente.
I'm happy to face a guy like Marlon. I follow his career for a long time. I know his work, but I'm training hard. I'm ready to get his win and bring this belt.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
There seems to be an echo in the background. I don't know if anyone else hears that, but whoever that is, if they can mute their phone while they're not speaking, that would be great.
The next question comes from the line of John Morgan with USA Today.
Yes, thank you for the time. If I could start with Jake Shields, please. Jake, I'm just curious how you approach this fight. Obviously, everyone knows what Husamar's strength is, and it seems like throughout his career, people have approached it differently. So did you spend a lot of time focusing on leg locks and leg lock defense, or do you feel like that's not necessary and it's more important to just focus on what you do best?
Like every fight, I mostly just focus on what I do best, but I just did a little extra time doing leg locks. I mean, I definitely studied them a little more, went to New York, worked some guys out there, worked with Dean Lister, and I feel a lot more confident with leg locks. Because, like I said, I mean, I might not care for Harris, but he has great leg locks. He has one thing he's amazing at, so he is a dangerous guy, but I feel really confident right now.
Why do you think he's been so successful with those moves for his career? I mean, when you look at him, is his technique that much better or different than other people, or do people just react poorly when they get in that position? Because it seems like, everyone else in MMA has trouble finishing those leg locks.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys in MMA don't do leg locks that well, and Palhares just does them. He does them completely different. He's a lot stronger. He's more technical. He's more explosive with them, and he is out there trying to actually break them. So it's just he has some different elements. But yeah, and I think his leg locks really are much better than other people's. And people, I think a lot of guys they maybe look at him and be like, no one's gonna leg lock me because it's easy to get out leg locks against most people, and he just does them better.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jake. And Alex, if you could ask Husamar, please, just to give his analysis of Jake's grappling game. A lot of people think Jake's grappling is probably the best in the division outside of Husamar's. What does Husamar think of him technically as a jiu-jitsu stylist?
Toquinho, o que você acha do jiu-jitsu do Jake Shields? Muita gente diz que ele é um dos melhores. O que você acha disso?
Eu acredito, mas eu acredito mais ele em mim, rapaz.
Yeah, he says that, he thinks Jake Shields pretty good, but he's better, and he'll find out.
Fantastic. If I could, for Marlon Moraes, please. Marlon, your opponent, Shaman, obviously is a new name to a lot of people. He had a split decision in his debut. What do you think he deserves this title shot, or do you think maybe he was kind of rushed into this position?
I think not just me, but even the World Series, they all see how talented this guy is. He's a talent fighter, and these guys are putting the things on him. They want to see how good he is, and I think he belongs in that position. And you guys next week gonna see how good we are. We're gonna be on the cage, and I don't think you guys should be missing this fight. I think our team level it's high level. I believe me and him are better than even the UFC champion and the contender are fighting this week. And we're going to be there, man. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a war. And I'm ready to take it.
And Marlon, you recently re-signed a deal with World Series of Fighting. That was a big statement to your commitment to the organization. Why did you think it was best to stay in World Series of Fighting?
Because World Series of Fighting, man, it's like, we want to grow. They want to grow. I want to grow. And they're doing what they have to do for me, and I'm doing what I have to do. So let's grow together.
Fantastic. And just lastly, if I could please, for Ray Sefo. Ray, I know you're aware of the news with Stitch Duran. He was on MMA Junkie Radio this morning and actually said that you reached out to him personally with a phone call. He said you guys got interrupted and couldn't finish the conversation. But I was just curious, what was said there and what your interest was? Was that just a friend reaching out to a friend, or is there some potential interest in bringing Stitch to the World Series of Fighting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Stitch and I have been friends for years, and now that he's a free agent, we want the best guys out there, and we want a guy that knows how to look after fighters and does his job well. And everybody knows Stitch around the world in terms of being the best cut man out there. So I'm interested in him working for us.
Fantastic. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to recap on.
I'm sorry.
What I want to recap on something John said. Everybody's this is Ali. Everybody's focusing on just a leg lock. Guys. If we look at history, Husamar Palhares is a guy, the finisher. He finished everybody with the same move. But at the same, he's one of the best in the world at welterweight. But if we talk about Jake Shields, and you go back a little bit, Jake Shields beat Yushin Okami, Carlos Condit, Sharon Woodley, Damian Maia, and he beat the UFC current champ, Robbie Lawler. This is two of the best welterweights in the world competing. Robbie Lawler is a great fighter, but listen, Jake Shields beat him. Jake Shields beat Dan Henderson. He beat who's in the welterweight division, and I think he's one of the best ever. Husamar Palhares, it's a nightmare for anybody because he does this one thing so good, and he's so technical. And I think this fight, people should view it not just a leg lock match. This is a world title, two high-level guys. They are two of the best in the world. Thank you.
The next question comes from the line of Maz Mazur with FightBookMMA.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much. My first question is for Jake Shields. Jake, were you able to glean anything from Alan Belcher's performance against Palhares? It's the most successful we've ever seen anybody be against him. And what did you learn from that? And is that anything you took into your training camp this time?
Yeah, I actually watched that fight 5 or 6 times, and I learned a lot. I mean, Alan Belcher did a great job of leg locks. I mean, he stayed composed. He did some very good things there, so I've definitely been watching that. And then another thing I learned from that fight, it seemed almost like Palhares just almost gave up after Alan Belcher escaped. You see him just the end of that round, and Alan gets out, and you see the look on his face. He just changes, and he just kind of quits in that fight. So Palhares is an amazing fighter. He bullies people around. He's an amazing athlete, but he's also kind of weak mentally. You can see it in that fight how he just quits.
Well, okay. Interesting. And the other question I have for you, Jake, is have you been focusing a bit more on your striking for this fight? Should we expect to see a bit more of a stand-up affair with you or not?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of boxing, and I would love to knock Palhares out. Yeah, so hold his hand on the feet, and it'd be nice to get a win that way.
Right on. And my next question, I guess, is for Husamar. What did you learn from the Alan Belcher fight, and did it change anything about how you train?
Toquinho, o que você aprendeu com a luta do Alan Belcher? E isso mudou alguma coisa da forma que você treina?
Eu aprendi muito, sabe o que foi? Não foi na luta em si, mas foi antes, entendeu? Eu acho que tudo que eu passei para aquela luta me ajudou a crescer muito, entendeu? Tanto é que hoje eu sou um novo cara, todo mundo sabe disso.
Yes, I learned a lot from that fight. It made me become stronger and better, and I think everybody can see that.
Excellent. My next question is going to be for both Ray and Abdulaziz. Is there anything you can tell us about any possible negotiations with Fedor Emelianenko now that he's announced he's coming out of retirement?
Listen, I did cover an interview to talk about it and said that, we're there to fight, write a check, but it depends what Fedor wants. The guy it's a legend. He demands respect, but at the end of the day, I haven't received a phone call from his management team yet. I reached out, but at the end of the day, if Fedor comes to us as fighting, we can write him a big check and we can compete with anybody out there about how much you get paid and how much you can afford him. But the reason we write the check for the right reason, because I think Fedor will move the needle. And, if I do this phone call, it's fine. If I don't, we're going to move on.
Okay. Next question is, again, for both of you guys, or more for Ray, I guess, but are there any plans in place to sort of mimic the drug testing that's happening with the UFC? Expanded random drug testing, that sort of thing. Is that something you guys are going to bring into the fold with your organization?
Listen, the commission obviously looks after that side of things, and so on our side, we're letting the commission do what they do best.
Okay. Excellent. Now we have Mike, Kyle, and Thiago Silva on the line also. For my first question is going to be for Thiago Silva. Thiago, in some of your recent fights, you've seen a lot more work put in on your wrestling. Is that going to be a big part of how you approach this fight with Mike?
Well, yeah, I can't say yes because I'm trying to be a completed fighter. You know what I mean? I'm pushing myself to be good on stand-up, to be good on the ground, to be a good grappler too. So I want to fight. I want to fight hard, and I'm gonna use my weapons. That's what I'm gonna do.
Excellent. And again, for Mike, Kyle, Mike, there's always been sort of questions about Thiago's chin and whatnot. Is that something that you're concerned with, or are you concerned with his wrestling at all?
I'm concerned about everything. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's been fighting in the sport for a long time. He's a well-known veteran. He has knockout power. He has good leg kicks. He's working at a great camp. So, to say one thing, I'm worried about one thing would be lying. Like I say, he's a dangerous fighter, but I really feel confident, and I know I prepared for a war. And unfortunately, I didn't get Tyrone Spong, but
right.
He was willing to jump in and fill in, kind of short notice. So, I'm thankful for the opportunity. Thanks World Series for the opportunity, and I'm gonna go out there and let my hands go and work on the things I work on.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, everybody at World Series of Fighting.
The next question comes from the line of Kel Dansby with Black Sports Online.
Yes, hello. My first question is for Jake. Jake, everyone's talking about this fight going to the ground, your wrestling, Palhares, jiu-jitsu. Who has the advantage in striking? Do you feel that's an area that you could really capitalize on?
Yeah, you never know until you get in there. But in my opinion, I think I do. I think I got reach on him. He got better boxing, better kicks. I think he doesn't like getting hit. You know, he seems to turn away to get hit. I think I can go in there and unload my hands on him.
And for Palhares, how do you feel you match up against Jake as far as striking is concerned, and do you feel that the fight has to go to the ground to get the victory?
Rosemar, você acha, como é que você sente que você se compara a Jake Shields na parte de striking, e você acha que a luta tem que ir pro chão pra você ganhar?
Fala de novo.
Como que você acha que o seu striking se compara ao do Jake Shields, e você acha que a luta tem que ir pro chão pra você ganhar?
Não, eu ganho dessa luta em qualquer lugar. Boa.
No, I'll beat him anywhere. Boa.
All right, appreciate the confidence. And for Ray, real quick, this fight is big, and you kind of stacked it with good championship fights. Is this how every card is going to be down the line? Do you feel that you have to put 2 or 3 championship fights on the card for it to really pop and get that buzz around it? Or do you feel like you're still going to have those cards that just has 1 championship fight and you're going to debut young fighters on it and you still do well?
Listen, this is one of our best cards to date, and, credit to Ali and I sit down from time to time and go over the cards, but credit to Ali. I mean, like, he just foresees certain things, and we go with the fighters and who's available and what makes sense for Worlds of Fighting. And if you look at the card, it speaks for itself. So, yeah, I mean, there are times we're going to do 2 world title fights, and there's sometimes we're going to do 1 world title fight. The next card, we have 2 title fights as well. So, it's important that we have our champions out there as much as we can, and obviously put on good fights, and they continue to showcase their skills and continue to improve. And they're champions for a reason. So again, it all as long as it makes sense for the company and makes sense for the fighters, we'll make it happen.
Thanks, Ray. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
The next question comes from the line of Adam Christ with MyMMAnews.com.
Thanks a lot. I have a question for Thiago as well as Mike Kyle. Now, both of you guys are well known for your striking, coming forward aggressive and taking people's heads off. I would imagine that's going to be the game plan, and I'm not asking necessarily for the game plan or secondary, but I'm curious is we're all you guys trade. If that's not going to happen, what's going to be plan B? Thiago, can you start, and Mike, can you finish?
I think what I can say to you, it's going to be a war, man. I'm ready to fight anywhere, I'm ready to fight on the ground, on the floor. I'm ready to stand up with him. I really don't care, I'm here to do my best, to do the job, and get the job done. So that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to fight hard. As always I do.
And Mike, can you follow with that?
That's a great answer. Like you said, we're both professionals. We've been doing it a long time. We're going to go in there and do our job. We have a job to go in there and fight. Of course, we're both stand-up fighters, but we're well-rounded. And you can look to see either one of us. Don't be surprised if we get a takedown or, if we have to change up a game plan, we're both able to do so. Like I said, we've been fighting a long time. We have a lot of experience, and we're prepared for war. We're going to fight.
Yeah.
Now, if I can be so lucky to get this, Thiago, can you call your shot? How you think you'll win the fight, and Mike as well?
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
I said, Thiago, if you can call your shot and how you're going to win the contest, I'd appreciate it. And Mike, can you follow?
I like stand up. I like knockout. I'm ready to fight. That's what I'm looking for. But like I said, that's going to be a war. So we got to use your weapons. I'm going to use mine.
Awesome. Mike, can you follow that, please?
Takedown, submission.
Takedown, submission.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate it very much. I look forward to the fight.
Wartime, baby. Guys, let me comment on this. Listen, when I put this fight together, Mike, Kyle, and Thiago, there's no way in hell this fight is gonna pass probably a first or second round, and somebody get in the middle, they're gonna swing it. That's what they do. That is the people main event. I think it is two guys. They like to fight. It's a nice blood, and they're gonna stand up in the middle and they're gonna swing, and somebody's gonna go down. That's how I see it going.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks a lot, guys.
Word.
The next question comes from the line of Jason Floyd with the MMAReport.com.
Thanks, guys. Ali, kind of to go off on what you just said there, is there a fight on this card outside the main event and the Kyle and Thiago fight that we're not talking about that you believe we should be talking about?
Yeah, I believe, the best technical fight you can put on today between two guys, Moraes versus Moraes. I think Marlon and Shaman, Shaman is a world champion in Muay Thai. Marlon is the same. They both come from, great camps. And if you want to really enjoy a fight and watch technical fight, and both guys have good punching power, aggressive, they both were rounded. Listen, Shaman Moraes' last performance, let me give you a hit of what happened. He flew from Thailand, 24-hour flight. He come in, he have to cut over 20 pounds, and he fought the third day. He was fighting with jet lag, and I'm not even trying to find an excuse with him. I believe he's number one contender. I believe Marlon Moraes is the best bantamweight in the world. I don't think anybody in the world can beat him. But on Saturday night, Shimon Moraes is going to be the biggest challenge Marlon Moraes have. And I think this is the fight people kind of not talking about. Everybody talk about Jake and Palhares, and it's also a great fight. But I think this is the fight everybody really, if you really love martial arts, you should tune in and to watch this fight.
For either Ali or Ray, obviously everyone knows that the UFC is holding a fight card that night on pay-per-view. For fans who are maybe trying to decide what fight card they're going to watch next Saturday night, why should they watch World Series of Fighting over UFC?
I love your question. Listen, you have the Ronda Rousey show and you have the World Series of Fighting show. Listen, we all know what's going to happen with Ronda Rousey. She's going to go in there and she's going to handle business. She's pound for pound one of the best in the world. And you very much can go on MMA, your website or any other website and watch the highlights. And that's how long is going to be the fight. But, UFC also on this side, but I think our fight card, somebody making a lot of noise. Getting back to it, our fight card, we have really great matchups. You don't know who's going to win, who's going to lose. Thiago Silva, Mike Kyle, nobody can predict. Marlon Moraes, Shimon Moraes, tough matchup. Jake Shield Palhares, definitely everybody's talking about it, And there's no disputing Ronda. Ronda's the best. But me, as an MMA fan, I can just watch the highlights and I'll tune into it as fighting. And I think, the UFC will be over and we're going to be on. I don't think that, we're going to go hit up. People are going to at least watch our main event after the UFC card go off, But at the end of the day, the UFC has so many shows of the year. We can't choose dates. They almost have a fight on, and that's why we put on a great fight card to make sure fans tune in and watch.
The next question would be for Jake Shields. Jake, besides leg locks, what else makes a Palhares dangerous?
He has leg locks is an obvious given. Amazing leg locks. He has other weapons as well. He's not known for striking, but he's a big dude with a lot of power, so he can hurt you with a shot. He's got good arm bars. He has some arm bar wins that you can see. Good takedowns, good ground and pound. So I think it is easy to look past everything else because his leg locks are so dangerous, but he's got another good weapon as well.
Do you see a difference in Palhares now as opposed to when he was in the UFC?
It's hard to say. He looked great in his last two fights, but they've been fast wins. So, he's coming out there so explosive and executing his game plan so perfect, but it's hard to say, how it goes on later in, second round and stuff.
Thanks, guys.
Thiago, can you please mute your phone?
Sorry?
The next question comes from the line of John Morgan with USA Today.
Thank you for letting me chime back in. I want to start with Mike Kyle, please. Mike, you mentioned, obviously, you were originally supposed to fight Tyrone Spong How does the Thiago Silva matchup differ to you? Do you think this is a better matchup for you stylistically, a worse matchup stylistically? What do you think about it?
You know, I know both fighters got knockout power. Tyrone got less experience, less time doing those 5-minute rounds. Coming off a bad leg injury, I really fell out the back.
As a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. And the next question comes from the line of Steve Juwan with MMAmania.com.
Thank you, operator. This question is for the champion, Rousimar Palhares. We've heard over and over again from a lot of different fighters, including his upcoming opponent, that he's a dirty fighter. Does he take exception to this? Does he feel it's just head games? And does that reputation carry over to Brazil, or is that just something reporters in the U.S. say?
Toquinho, mais uma pessoa já falou que você é um lutador sujo. Eles falam isso no Brasil também, ou o que você acha disso?
Olha, cara, eu não fico muito olhando isso não, sabe? Eu não fico me procurando esse tipo de coisa, não, entendeu? Eu nunca ouvi falar isso lá pra mim, ninguém nunca falou isso lá não, entendeu? Eles inventaram isso, foi aqui, lá eu nunca ouvi isso lá não.
They don't say that about him in Brazil. It's only up here. He's not worried about it. He knows who he is, and it doesn't bug him.
All right, thank you very much.
I'm a comment on that. A lot of people talking about Rousimar Palhares and dirty, not dirty. Listen, he's the champ. He beat 2 guys that were seriously fighting. Commission was watching. If the commission saw anything was wrong, they would have suspended him at least. But his track record at World Series of Fighting is clean. I do not think he's a dirty fighter. The past is the past, but when Rousimar Palhares comes to World Series of Fighting, he's a professional, and Jake is a professional. And at the end of the day, the Athletic Commission regulated by the government. If the Athletic Commission thinks he's a dirty fighter, then it's up to them to say. It's not up to anybody else to say, listen, if a fighter thinks he's a dirty fighter, they can speak their mind, But as far as I'm concerned, or World Series of Fighting concerned, he's a professional. The Athletic Commission didn't suspend him, and he's the champ. And Jake Shield here to take his belt. That's, all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you, Ali.
There are no further questions in queue at this time.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for joining, and I want to turn to Ali and Ray to see if they'd like to make any closing comments before we wrap up.
Hey, I just want to, I want to thank everybody coming on this call. I want to thank the fighters, the reporters. Like we said, World Series of Fighting right now, we every 5 card from now on to next to the year, we're going to have 2 title fights. On this fight, we have one of the most anticipated matchup, Jake Shield versus Palhares. We have 2 of the best bantamweights in the world, Marlon Moraes versus Shimon Moraes. And on the same card, we have the people main event, Thiago Silva, Mike Kyle. And the other 5 cards, we're going to talk about it. Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov versus George Marino. Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov, he's Khabib Nurmagomedov's brother. He's a really talented young guy. I'm glad to have him on the card. And George Marino, everybody trained with him. He said he's a little Mike Tyson. This should be a great fight. I want to remind also everybody, we have a lot of great undercards. Jake Hewin versus Devin Clark, Donovan Friedel. He's fighting Carlos Garcia for the #1 contender flyweight division. And we're looking forward, to have the media there and have the fan support. And I just want to thank everybody. You've been supporting World Series Fighting since day one. And we can't be happier where we are today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ray.
First of all, thank you to all the media and everybody else that's on this call for taking the time to be here. I want to thank also, our partners, NBC, IMG, and of course, our team here at Wizards Fighting. And, you, the media, as well. So thank you, everybody, and good luck to all the fighters.
Thank you, everyone. We'll wrap up now, and we look forward to next week, Fight Week.